Alright, it's another day in the basement. I got a whole bunch more going on. I am actually starting to get work done on the bathroom area. So this is an area I'm not super familiar with. I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of internet searching, a lot of video watching, all kinds of good stuff like that. And in order for me to get past my inspection, I need to have the bathroom plumbing done. I need to have the shower pan poured with the liner holding 2 inches of water. So right now my shower is not done, so I need to work on that part in order to get it ready for inspection. So that's what I'm working on. So let me walk through what I've got in here. It's a mess because I got a bunch of tools and everything, but alright, so in here I have my shower set for the most part. I've got my curb installed, and then I have the blocking done in the shower. Now, the way that my builder roughed this in, you can actually see that pipe sticks up quite a bit. It's a 2-inch pipe. In order for me to get this flange on, it actually I had to cut out and knock out a bunch of concrete around here and then pull out all the gravel and everything, so that way I can actually cut this off and then install the flange and then actually build up my pre-slope and all the other good stuff. You know, there's a debate online about whether you actually need a pre-slope or not. I'm not going to get into all that. Mainly I'm going to build a pre-slope because it's necessary for me. Because the way that even if I get that flange down pretty far, the top of the flange is actually not going to be flush with the concrete. So it looks like the way that as far as I can get it down there, it'll probably require me to build up a pre-slope of about somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch with mortar mix. So once I get the flange installed, I'll build up my pre-slope, then I'll put in my pan liner, which I have sitting here, and then that should be pretty much all I need in order to get the shower prepped. Now, while I'm in here, I also am going to go ahead and get ready. This is not required. I don't have to do anything with the toilet flange for the inspection, but while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and get that done anyway. If you look at the way that the builder did this one, they actually poured the concrete here. It actually rises up, so there's actually a ridge that goes up to this, which would cause a problem when you actually go to put the toilet on. It could rock after you actually mounted the toilet to the ground. So I'm currently cold chiseling out this mound the most that I can, because it actually rose up probably a good 1/2 inch up to this pipe right here. So I'm actually cold chiseling out right now, and what I'm going to do once I get all the way around, I'm actually going to cold chisel this out, clean this up as much as I can, then I'm going to put a self-leveler down to kind of smooth this out a little bit and make it as level as I can. The self-leveler will only put maybe somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch, depending upon how thick you pour it. It might be a little overkill to pour a self-leveler here for the toilet, but that's what I'm going to do. I mean, actually the rest of the floor is actually pretty level, but having that self-leveled where that toilet seat is going to make a big difference so that it doesn't wobble for the long haul. What do I know? I think that's the best thing to go with. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, this is the process. Going to chisel this up, and then I'll have to go to Lowe's and pick up some self-leveler. I have some of the concrete adhesive stuff already, so I will prime the floor. And hopefully this weekend I'll be able to get all this done. I'll have that shower pan installed, and I'll have the floor self-leveled, and then I can install the toilet flange. So wish me luck. Here we go. Alright, so there's all my concrete dust, and that is after I finished cold chiseling out what I need. So the next steps are to go pick up the mix so I can actually get this self-leveler done. I'll have to clean in here, do a little prep work first. Hopefully that works out well. I think what I'll do also is, I think the area that needs to be basically leveled is pretty much right here. Over here is actually very level. The rest of this part is actually very level, even leading up to the curb. Mainly right here around the rough end is what needs some attention. So I'm going to mix up a bag. Hopefully I won't need too much, and I'll put it in here. This is not a huge area. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 6.5 feet by 5.5 feet. But I think I'm going to run a bead of silicone along the bottom edge of the wood, just in case this stuff spreads out and starts to seep under. I want to keep it from doing that. Yeah, so anyway, in another day after I get all the materials I'll need, I'll do that, and we'll continue on this project. Alright, here we are now. I have got, let's see, I've made the first rough cut to get this down a little bit and more manageable. Now what I need to do is actually make the cut below grade using this guy. This is an inside pipe cutter. I bought it from Lowe's. What you do is you actually take this thing and you go down inside the pipe and then you cut it from the inside. That way you get a lot closer down to where you want it to be. I actually practiced. I bought a cheap piece of PVC to practice on to see how level I can get my cuts. So what I'm going to be doing is actually making some cuts and then finishing it with a file to try to get it as level as I can. I know my file's around here somewhere. Anyway, file somewhere. But the next step for me is use this, cut that inner diameter there. I'll do a little bit of cleanup, scuff it with some sandpaper, and then clean it off again, and then I will put the primer and then the PVC cement, and then I'll put this guy on. We'll be ready for the next step, which is to then clean in here, vacuum this all out, and then sponge, clean it with a wet sponge, and then I will be putting down I'll be putting down this concrete bonding adhesive stuff after that. I'll let that dry for a couple of hours, and then I will mix up my mortar dry pack, and I will get my pre-slope in here to sit flush with where the flange is on there. So let's get to cutting. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, I got my little torpedo level here as well. So the cement for these PVC pipes sets very fast. So in order for me to make sure I get this thing level, I want to have my level basically sitting here ready to go as soon as I push this PVC pipe on, and then I want to level it this way and this way. PVC cement is very, very permanent, so I'm going to try and do this. This is a bit stressful. Let me try and not mess this up. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm taking this and I'm measuring the depth of where I need to go and where I need to actually make a mark so I can start my cut. If you look and see where it sits, it's about 3 inches from the bottom of the flange to where it should sit flush. So if I take a look down into here, where do I want it to sit and where can I actually get it to cut? If you can actually see on there, 3 will sit right about there. So what I want to do is measure in here. There's a little lip ridge of where you actually push the pipe onto where it will sit, and that is about 7/8 of an inch roughly. So from where I want the flange to sit level, I'm going to measure up 7/8 of an inch. I'm going to make a mark with my Sharpie, and then I'm going to start cutting. Alright, wish me luck. It's a bit stressful. There you go. Alright, so now you can see the cut that was made below grade down there. And I am going to file off and get as much of that PVC remnants off that I can. And then we'll clean it up, get some PVC primer on, stick that flange on, call it good. I'm just using 80 grit sandpaper. Yeah, also take care, because this is filled with aggregate, take care to not drop that down the drain. That would not be much fun to have to try and get that out, or have it flush down through your pipes. That would not be great. Alright, so now I'm just trying to clear out some of the gravel so that I have enough space to actually push the flange all the way on. I'm just going to do a quick test fit of it to see which way the level looks. And if it looks pretty close to level, then I'll just stick it on there. If it's not very level, then I will know which way to adjust once I start to set it on, because it sets very fast. Yeah, that's pretty good there. Now it's time to clean it up and then put the primer and cement on. Alright, now I'm just holding it so that it dries right in a level spot on both sides. That's nice and level right there. Success! Alright, last step is I'm going to put this cap in place for now, to keep any of the debris out of there while I'm still working. And I will tape up over the weep holes as well to make sure that nothing gets down in there. Next steps, which I'm not going to film, but the next steps in here are to clean up the rest of the stuff, vacuum everything, and then clean it with a wet sponge, and then apply the bonding agent. Alright, so I shop vacuumed up all the dust and dirt and debris that was in there. Then I brought down a bucket of water and sponge cleaned. It is currently drying now. So the next step is to mix this up, shake it for about a minute or so. Then I will pour it out onto the floor and use my paint roller. And then I will be done for a few hours while it dries. Roller, adhesive, let's go. Well, anyway, so I'll see you in a few hours after this thing dries, and then we'll make and mix up my mortar mix and get the pre-slope in so I can lay the pan. Alright, so I got my first batch of mortar mix all made up, and I'm getting ready to start packing it in over here. That'll be in the next couple of minutes. I have already got my tools laid out, got a bunch of levels, some screeding tools. I've already made my height adjustment marks, taking into consideration a 1/4 inch drop per foot. Anyway, let's just get started. This will take a little bit of time and see how it goes. Time to make some more mix. All right, another bag mixed. I think we could probably get by with one more bag of mix and then might be done. Alright. It was too hard to film, so I didn't film the rest of it, but I am now finished. Here is the pre-slope leading up to the drain. Keep in mind, I am not a professional, but I think this is actually looks pretty good considering I've never done one of these before. Anyway, you can see all the way up to the edge. There's not a lot of light down here, so it's kind of hard to see. But I got, it's about just a little over, it's like 5/8 of an inch thick up to the flange to keep it flush. And then back here, I actually started at 1 3/4 inches, and so it slopes from actually like 1 7/8 inches, so it's just under 2 inches back here, and then it slopes all the way down to there. This will dry overnight, and then I will get the shower valve installed tomorrow, and then I will also probably put the shower pan liner in as well, so that way I can get prepped to do my water test. Put 2 inches of water in there and let it stand overnight just to make sure that it's nice and watertight. Then I should be ready for my inspection hopefully early next week. So anyway, stay tuned. Alright, I now have the self-leveler poured, which is on the floor here. I poured self-leveler because there was a little bit of a crest going up to that rough end for the toilet. I chipped away at it with a cold chisel in order to kind of take that mound out and have it actually come build a trough. And then poured the self-leveler on here as well. You see a little bit of the caulking that I put so that it wouldn't escape underneath of the wood there. And it actually looks like it's doing a really good job in holding all of that in. So now that should set up. Actually, this stuff dries really fast, so I'll just let it dry overnight. As you can see, that shower pan is drying in there nicely. And then, yeah, so hopefully tomorrow we'll have a really nice and dry floor in here. And it's just a one-man job down here, so I didn't really have time to kind of set the camera up and film it all. So anyway, this is the after. We'll see it all tomorrow.